जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदन प्रजजन रंजन। यशोदनंदन व्रजजन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधा वृंदावन चंद्र श्री राधे। जय गोपाल नाथ जी जय श्री जी जय गोपाल नाथ जी जय श्रीनाथ जी। जय गौरानिताय 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 जय गौरानिताय। जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा। जय प्रहलाद नरसिंह जय प्रहलाद नरसिंह जय प्रहलाद नरसिंह जय प्रहलाद नरसिंह। वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगो श्री जीव गोपाल को। वंदे रघुजुगो श्री जीव गोपाल को। जय प्रभुपद श्रील प्रभुपद प्रभुपद श्रील प्रभुपद। प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। परिवराचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद इस डिवाइन ग्रेस इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की, ब्रह्म गौड़ीय संप्रदाय आचार्य गुरुवर की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, समावेद गौर भक्त वृंद की। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द सेवन डिवोटीज। हरे कृष्णा। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयौदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्ठिकी। शृण्वन्ता स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तनम् हृदयन्तस्त भद्राणि हृदयन्तस्त भद्राणि सुहृद सताम् सताम्। एक रिक्वेस्ट है, प्लीज बच्चों को बाहर ले जाइए। हरि कथा कीर्तन ये साक्षात श्री हरि है। मंदिर के हॉल में बात नहीं करनी चाहिए। One should not talk in temple hall. while Kirtan and Katha is on. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So today we will be serving Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam in chronological order, canto number 3, chapter number 26, and the verse in chronological order is number 29. Kindly repeat. Taijasat tu vikurvanat buddhi tattvam ahutsati dravya sfurana vijnanam indriyanam anugraha taijasat tu vikurvanat buddhi tattvam abhutsati द्रव्यस्फूर्ण विज्ञानम इंद्रियाणामनुग्रह तैजसा तु विकुर्वाणात् बुद्धि तत्त्वम् अभूत्सति द्रव्यस्फूर्ण विज्ञानम इंद्रियाणामनुग्रह. तैजसा तु विकुर्वाणात् बुद्धि तत्त्वमभूत्सति द्रव्य स्फुरण विज्ञानम इंद्रियाणाम अनुग्रह. माताजी. तैजसा तु विकुर्वाणात् तैजसा तु विकुर्वाणात् बुद्धि तत्त्वम् अभूत्सति द्रव्यस्फुरण विज्ञानम इंद्रियाणाम अनुग्रह. Translation, word to word meaning and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. Kindly repeat the word to word meaning. Taijasat, from the false ego in passion. Tu, then, Vikurvanat, undergoing transformation. Buddhi, intelligence. Tattvam, principle. Abhut, took birth. Sati, O virtuous lady. Dravya, objects. Sfurna, coming into view. Vijnanam, ascertaining. Indriyanam, to the senses. Anugraha, giving the assistance. By transformation of the false ego in passion, please repeat. Intelligence takes birth. O virtuous lady, the functions of the intelligence are to help in ascertaining the nature of objects when they come into view and to help purport by His divine grace. Intelligence is the discriminating power to understand an object, and it helps the senses make choices. Therefore, intelligence is supposed to be the master of the senses. The perfection of intelligence is attained when one becomes fixed in the activities of Krishna consciousness. By the proper use of intelligence, one's consciousness is expanded, and the ultimate expansion of consciousness is Krishna consciousness. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manoyabhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagada Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Aradhyo Bhagwan Vrajesh Tanayas Taddam Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadu Vargena Taya Kalpita Srimat Bhagavata Puranayamalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Mataidam Nayatra Agraha Para Navaniradhanindita Kantidharam Rasosagar Nagar Bhupavaram Shubhavankimacharu Shikhanda Shikhim Bhaja Krishna Nidhim Vrajaraj Sutam Bhaja Krishna Nidhim Vrajaraj Sudam Radhika Sarodaindu Nindimukha Mandali Vandiye Shripad Padma Vrishabhanu Nandini Vandiye Shripad Padma Vrishabhanu Nandini Namaste Girirajaya Govardhana Namine Pranata Klesha Nashaya Paramananda Daine Ajanulambito Bhujo Kanakaya Vadato Sankirtanai Pitaravo Kamalaya Taksho Vishwambharo Dvijavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karuna Avataro Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu me Kadachit Kalindi Tata Vipina Sangitarav Mudabhiri Nari Kamala Swada Madhupa Rama Shambhu Brahma Ganesha Archita Pado Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatu me Yasya Prasadan Bhagavad Prasado Yasya Aprasadan Nagati Kutopi Dayanstuvam Yasyas Tri Sandhyam Vande Guruho Shri Charim. Hare Krishna. My humble obeisances unto Srila Prabhupada disciples, senior Vaishnavas present, and all the assembled Vaishnavas in the temple hall and online. May the words that emanate from my mouth be pleasing to our Gaudiya Acharyas, and I seek the blessings so that it does, whatever I speak is indeed in line with our Gaudiya Tattva and Rasa. Hare Krishna. So, here in this particular chapter, Kapildev, an incarnation of Krishna, is instructing his own mother, Devhati Ma. When we receive any kind of good or especially transcendental instructions, we can receive it from anyone who is qualified. Like Prahlad Maharaj was only 5 years old and he spoke Harikatha so profoundly and profusely as Mahaprabhu has instructed. Jare dekho tare kaho Krishna updesh. With every moment one should Jivan sarthak kari karo parahupkar. One should first perfect their own lives, understand the philosophy, understand, especially for us who are within this glorious ISKCON movement, what Srila Prabhupada has given us, such a big treasure. And we have to understand it and distribute it. Jare dekho tare kaho Krishna updesh. So, Kapildev is instructing his own mother because mother knew that her son is very elevated, and she took the role of a disciple and gave the son the position of a guru. So, in this chapter, Kapildev describes the Supreme Lord and material nature, which is known as Sankhya Yoga. The word yoga means to connect. Nowadays, it has become a very, I would say, cheap term because nobody really understands the meaning of the word yoga. It's Srila Prabhupada has many times explained this. Yoga means to connect. But to connect to who? To Krishna. Connecting to Krishna. Any process that helps us, if we are studying the Vedas, Vasudeva Paraveda. Ben, Hare Krishna, अंदर वातो नहीं करवानी मंदिर में कृपा करीने बाहर जाओ बात करवी हो तो Hare Krishna. Thank you. One thing I don't understand, that people come to the temple to get something, but in fact, some of them, they cause disturbance. That is not a nice thing. In our Sanatan Dharma, Vedic culture, it is Sarvena Sukhi Bhavantu, just not me. When we are making noise and we are allowing our children to play any way they want, then it is our sense gratification. We should be happy. Our children should be happy. But let all of the other people go to hell. This is not a good attitude. Again and again, time and again, please do not disturb. Come in the temple hall, take something within your hearts. Even taking pictures. Why take so many pictures? Take the picture within the heart. In Vrindavan, they do not allow photos in the temples. Why? Because they want you to take the pictures within your heart. Simply take home pictures of the Lord that are there within the heart. We are concentrating on the camera lens, but we are not concentrating on the lotus feet of the Lord. When will we learn this? Sometimes a few minutes are wasted in the class, just trying to maintain some common sense decorum in the temple hall. Please, I beg all of you, do not do that. Time and again, we don't respect our own Sanatan Dharma, our Vedic culture. You think others are going to respect that? And then we are complaining, oh, The Islam is taking over, Christianity is taking over. Why not? Who is to blame? We are to blame. We are to blame. Because we do not respect our lordships. We do not respect Katha and Kirtan. In the mosque, when a Maulvi is conducting the prayers, you may have not been in a mosque, but at least seen it in the movies or a video clip. Everybody is silently praying right after him, repeating the prayers. No children are playing around. Nobody is talking. In the church, when a father or a priest is giving a sermon, there is pin drop silence. Nobody is walking around, nobody is talking, no children are playing in the aisles. Then why in our temples? And then we complain. I'm really sorry, but I have to say this because I'm sitting on this hot seat and it becomes my duty to give the proper instructions. Please, I really, literally, from the heart, I beg all of you. Thank you so much. So as I was saying, in this particular chapter, it is Sankhya Yoga, and Yoga, Srila Prabhupada mentions, is to connect. Not to connect to something that is unseen or something that has no attributes, something does not have a form, some imaginary light. No. Vasudeva Para Yoga. Vasudeva. Vasudeva means Sri Krishna. Vasudeva Paramakaha. Srimad Bhagavatam says that. If you are performing any fire sacrifices, then it is the predominating deity is Vasudeva or Krishna to please him. Vasudeva Paro Dharma, the ultimate goal of all religiosity is Sri Krishna. Vasudeva Paragatihi. And the ultimate destination is Vasudeva or Sri Krishna. If we do all these activities without the proper yoga, the proper connection, then Srimad Bhagavatam says, Shrama eva hi kevalam. It is simply a waste of time. The so-called yoga clubs that they make you sit and do all these asanas and all, in this Kali Yuga, it is not possible to attain enlightenment by sitting in some postures that are simply Prabhupada labeled gymnastic exercises. Yes, it will give you some peace. Yes, it will make your body feel better. But we are not these bodies, we are a spirit soul. That's the fundamental principle of spiritual. Yes, we control our senses through yoga system that Patanjali has given so that we can realize who we are. Atma, the soul, and Paramatma, the super soul. So, Mother Devadi is, the Lord has accepted out of causeless mercy in his pastimes the subtle material energy, which is a part of the Sankhya Yoga explanation, the three modes of material nature related with Vishnu, related with Krishna. Very important. So many of them, they do analyze material nature, analytical, or they do the analysis of material nature, but devoid of the most important vastu or element, which is Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam, the second verse in the first canto, it says very, very clearly, Dharma projita kaitavatra parmo nirmat saranam satam vedyam vastavam vastu atra shivadam taputre unmulam. Meaning, this Srimad Bhagavatam is meant to understand that ultimate vastu which is Sri Krishna. Vedyam means to know. Vedyam, vastu means, here the word meaning of vastu means Krishna. So, in Sankhya Yoga, it doesn't stop just at analyzing all the 24 material elements. The final is, along with material elements, which is the external energy of the Lord, understanding who is controlling that, that is the meaning of Sankhya Yoga. And Devati Mother, as a very humble person, is asking, kindly explain, my dear son, the characteristics of the Supreme Person and his energies. Nowadays, what is happening is mostly we are, especially in the atheistic world, they are simply concentrating on the energies of the Lord without knowing that they are the energies of the Lord. They talk about nature. There are so many different advocates and groups. They simply appreciate nature, which is good. But how does the sun rise every day? How does the moon rise? How does the water come into existence? How does the air come into existence? Who are we? What is our body made up of? The elements that are made up of. They do not consider that as a product or the creation, a part of the creation of the Lord. And that's where the fault lies. The modern scientists are also analyzing material elements in the lab, but devoid of Krishna, or devoid of accepting the Supreme Lord's hand. Of course, there were personalities like Newton and Einstein who believed in the Bhagavad Gita. Newton said that we have only collected small pebbles on the vast ocean or the seashore in this Lord's creation. So that is a perfect scientist, one who accepts the Supreme Lord behind everything. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the cause of all causes. And he Ishwar Param. We are all Ishwaras, little mini Ishwar. Ishwar means controller. So we all have that because we have the qualities in a very minute, infinitesimal way of what the Supreme Lord possesses. So the Supreme Lord is fully independent, but we have minute independence. And also, there are so many qualities of the Supreme Lord that we possess. The Supreme Lord is the supreme controller. But because we have that minuteness within us, we actually have that controlling attribute or quality within us. But Ishvara Parama Krishna, the supreme controller, is Lord Krishna. There are so many Devi Devatas, demigods, etc. But Param, Lord Brahma, who is one of the topmost demigods, has declared that in Brahma Samhita. Ishwar Parama Krishna, Sarva Karana Karanam, he is the cause of all the causes. So she is asking her son, please explain the characteristics of the Supreme Lord and his energies. Now, the energies of the Lord are generally divided into two components, internal energy and external energy. Bahiranga Shakti and Antaranga Shakti. Bahiranga Shakti is material nature, or what we find in the material world. And Antaranga Shakti is from the spiritual world. So what are the examples of Antaranga Shakti? Krishna himself, along with his associates, are Antaranga Shakti. All his associates, Srimati Radharani is the primary Antaranga Shakti, Aladini Shakti. Lord Balram is his Shakti for creation. Krishna himself is Sambit Shakti. Lord Balram is Sandhini Shakti. Radharani is Haladini Shakti. And all the expansions of Lord Balram and Srimati Radharani are Antaranga Shakti. Even when they descend here into the material world, they're still of transcendental nature, where material nature cannot touch them. Just like Srila Prabhupada likes to give this example, if we are in another country and they have an American embassy there, let's say for example India, and the American embassy is in New Delhi, the entire property where the American embassy stands is not India, it is the United States. It is within India but not in India. So similarly, a great Vaishnava or an Acharya may be in the material world but is not of or in the material world. And external energies is being discussed in this particular chapter, which is as follows: 5 gross elements, 5 subtle elements, 5 senses of gathering knowledge, 5 outward organs of action, so that makes it 20, and 4 internal senses, and then the mixing time as the 25th element, and the 26th is the Supreme Lord who is behind everything. So it was discussed in the previous verses, for those who are not present, that the material ego, it springs from the Mahat Tattva. Now, what is Mahat Tattva? Mahat Tattva is, Prabhupada mentions in, especially I think it is in the, when the creation is being described in the second canto, where it is described that Mahat Tattva means the gross aggregate conglomeration of all material elements. Meaning, to simplify that, to understand that, it is considered, just imagine a huge warehouse where there are material elements stored. Just like we go to Home Depot, and it's got such a huge warehouse that all construction materials are available, right from a small nail to the big roofing trusses. To build an entire house or even an industrial shed, you can find all those materials under one roof. Now, I've been very patient, but whoever that child is, please keep it quiet. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, in Krishna's creation, if we try to picturize this, there is in every Brahman means very complex universal system that has got 14 planetary systems within it. Bhur, Bhuha, Swahar, Janar, Mahar, Tapa, Tala, Vitala, Sutala, Mahatala, Rasatal, Patal. And in between there is earth. And like that, there are millions of Brahmans that are floating in space. And within each Brahman, there is a warehouse or a Home Depot. And when everything is destroyed, all the different 14 planetary systems, when they are destroyed at the Mahapralay, or the annihilation, or the Armageddon, if you want to use that word, at the end of the respective Brahma's life, all those planets are destroyed. But what does Srimad Bhagavad-gita says, which also Newton says, the law of conservation of energy, matter cannot be destroyed, but it can be transformed from one state to another state. So when all the Brahmans are annihilated, the respective Brahmans, all the material elements, they are stored in this warehouse known as Mahat Tattva. Air, water, fire, ether, etc. All of them, they have their respective storehouses. Now, what is interesting is I would like to bring to attention Each warehouse is about 10 times larger than the previous one. So the first one, the most grossest, is earth. So whatever earth is required to create a Brahman is all in that warehouse. 10 times more than that is water. So somebody do the math. Take a calculator. If you have your smartphone, I would like to quickly assign somebody who can do that. So 10 times 10 is water, the warehouse of water. 10 times more is fire. 10 times more is air. 10 times more is space or ether. 10 times more is mind. Are you doing that calculation? Okay, do that again, please. 10 times 10. No, you'll need the calculator, trust me. 10 times 10, 100 times 10 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 times 10. What is the number now? Now you tell me. How many zeros? 10 zeros followed by 1. So what I'm trying to drive home here is that earth, let's say it starts at 1. Multiply that by 10 is water. Multiply that by 10 is air. Multiply that by 10 is space. Multiply that by 10 is earth, water, air, fire, ether. Then mind. There is a warehouse of mind. Multiply that by 10 is intelligence. And multiply that by 10 is the warehouse of false ego. So now, if we consider 1 unit of earth, so supposing of a body, let's say it weighs about, let's say 130 pounds or 150 pounds, whatever the case may be. I've heard, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, that about 60% is water in the body and all the other different elements. Now, can you imagine how many zeros did you say, Prabhuji? 10 zeros. The maximum and the most subtle and the most heaviest is false ego within all of us. And that is why it is extremely difficult to eradicate the false ego. If we do the math alone, therefore Krishna has the biggest warehouse in the Mahatvatva of false ego in the material world. This is given in the Shastras, all this is explained. So, the material ego, how does it spring? It springs from the Mahat-tattva or from the warehouse known as Mahat-tattva, or that home depot that Krishna has made in every Brahman, which has evolved from the Lord's own energy. Now, one may wonder, why would the Lord make false ego? Actually, He hasn't made it. It is a polluted reflection of the true ego. It's very interesting. I mean, one need not know all these things if one can just simply chant Hare Krishna nicely. This is so complicated in one sense. But the spiritual world is comprising of 75%. 75% of the creation, 25% is material. And within this 25%, there are millions and billions of Brahmans. And within this 25% are millions and billions of earthly planets and the 14 planetary systems included. Now, We are minorities in this material world, and we have not even discovered, neither did Dr. Spock or Star Trek discover the outer regions of space in one small Brahman. So 75% are liberated souls. 75% are full of the expansions of the Supreme Lord in the Vaikuntha region, with millions and billions of spiritual planets. And of course, the topmost planet being Golok Vrindavan. And I'm connecting this point here, if you're all with me. There, everybody has got true ego. Everybody has got true ego. What is true ego? Jiver Swarup hoy Krishner Nitya Das. I am the eternal servant of Krishna is my identification, and that is my true ego. False ego is opposite of that. That which is not, that is Maya. I am not this body. That is not the realization in false ego. I am this body. Everything I do is revolving around me. Who Krishna? Who God? Everything around me. Even that thing comes and seeps us in a very subtle way, even after taking to Krishna consciousness. How many of us are really sincerely willing to satisfy Krishna's senses? That is what Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in the last line, or in this purport actually. Naradji has said this. Somebody asked Naradji, can you very briefly, within 2 lines, tell us what is pure bhakti? So Naradji says, Anya vilasita shunya jnana karma navritam anukulena Krishna anushlinam tad bhaktir uttam. Uttam means topmost bhakti. Where there is zero desire for any material desires. Anya vilasita. And the word anya is very important. Anya means other desires, except Krishna's desires. Anya vilasita shunya. Zero. Jnana karma navritam. Even beyond jnana and even beyond karma. Jnana and karma can take us to build a certain foundation, but if it doesn't culminate into Krishna consciousness, then shrama eva kevalam, wasted. So the negativities are out, and in the next line Naradji is explaining, this is in Narad Bhakti Sutra, this verse, which Srila Rupa Goswami adopted in Bhakti Rasam Sindhu. Anya vilasita shunya jnana karma navritam anukulyena Krishna anushilanam. Whatever is conducive to Krishna, anukul, then we must anushil. We must perform those activities. Then that bhakti is uttam. So even after, as a introspective for every one of us, whatever our realizations, we have to always think that what can I do to please Krishna, to please Radharani? Is my behavior okay? Am I behaving well with everyone? That my Radharani will be displeased with me if I have hurt somebody, either in word, thought, or deed? Just one example. And other examples is, what does Krishna like? We offer him that, not what we like. Most of us, we are on a Karma Yoga platform. Karma Yoga means whatever we do, we offer it to Krishna. So we have cooked a pizza, cookies, pasta. We put a tulsi leaf and we offer it to Krishna. That is Karma Yoga. Because I like it, I offer it, which is okay. Nothing wrong with that. And when Srila Prabhupada came, he used to distribute cookies and pastries that were made by the Westerners, because he knew that the Westerners didn't really understand basically what the Indian cooking was, and Prabhupada used to teach them. Indian meaning the Vraj style, or the Mahaprabhu, what Mahaprabhu liked. So we have to understand by studying the scriptures, by understanding by what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining in the Bhaja Bhakata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari. What does Gaurhari like? There's a list. What does the Damodar like? There's a whole list that Mother Yashoda has cooked in that bhajan. Like that. Suktadi sakadi nalit kusumanda pista khaira paya sanna puri. Like that, so many items. So of course, please don't take me otherwise. Nothing wrong. As long as you're offering it with love and you put a tulsi leaf, Krishna will accept it. But what the higher taste would be, or the higher is what Krishna wants, and we have to study it and learn it from the devotees of Krishna. Like Prabhupada used to cook excellent Bengali prasad, bhoga for Mahaprabhu. So this is just, I'm talking about sense gratification, but that also seeps in, that tendency is still there within us, even when we come to Krishna consciousness. That's what I'm trying to bring home. And there are so many other examples that we can but we can move along here with this. So the material ego or ahankar is endowed predominantly with three kinds: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Sato, Rajo, and Tamo. And the threefold ahankar. So the ahankar of false ego comprises of these three: goodness, passion, and ignorance. The senses and the mind is identical with this because it is the cause. And it is known by the name Sankarshan. So these are the names of the different lordships that are the predominating kind of deities of how our senses are controlled. And the false ego is the characteristic characterized as the doer. Bhagavad Gita. What is that verse? Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasa ahankar vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. We think that we are the doers, but no, it is the three modes of material nature that makes us do things. Except that those who are situated on a transcendental platform, and if they've gone beyond the three modes of material nature, all our activities are controlled by the three modes of material nature, and we think we are the doers. So this is Krishna saying that. And the same thing is explained by Kapildeva in this particular few verses related to this. And the false ego is characterized as the doer. That is what Kapildeva is saying. It is further characterized as serene, which is the quality of goodness. Active, which is the quality of passion. And it is further as dull. Prabhupada uses the word dull, which is the characteristics of ignorance or tamogun. So like this, we find that from the false ego of goodness, the mind arises, which is in the warehouse of Mahat Tattva. And from the mind, the Lord of the mind is Lord Aniruddha. So these are all forms of Krishna, actually quadruple expansions. Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. First quadruple expansion in Dwarka. Second quadruple expansion in Mathura. Again, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha from the previous Sankarshan. It's complicated, I'll leave it. So, but the one that controls the mind, in this particular chapter, it is clearly mentioned, it is Lord Aniruddha, the supreme ruler of Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatena nirmalam risikeshna risikesha sevanam tad bhaktir uchyate. One has to get rid of all bodily designations. They are upadhis. Upadhi means troublesome. Fighting with each other because, oh, you are Russian, you are Ukrainian, you are American, you are Iranian. These are all bodily designations. Upadhi. One has to go beyond that. Vinirmuktam. Tatparatena nirmalam. One will become purified. And How do you further? The process of purification is Risikena Risikesha Sevanam. Risik means senses. And Risikesh, which is Lord Aniruddha or Krishna, expansion of Krishna. Rishikena, with the senses, we should serve Rishikesh. Rishik means senses and Esh means Ishwar. The controller or the master of the senses is Lord Aniruddha or Krishna. So whatever senses we have, we can use it for Krishna's service. What is that verse in the Mangalarti that relates to that? Who will bring that verse up? Sri Vigraharadna Nityanana Sringar Tan Mandir Marjanado. Sri Vigrahara, the supreme, the deities, you decorate them with your hands. Mandir Marjanado, you clean, like Amrish Maharaj says. All his senses are engaged in Krishna's service. Eyes are meant to behold the darshan of the beautiful deities. Ears are meant to hear Hari Katha and Kirtan. The tongue is meant to constantly chant the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And the tongue is meant to taste Krishna Prasadam. Bhai, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Bhai, Sharira Vidya Jal, Jadendriya Taikal, Jive Fele Vishesh Ragure, Tar Madhya Jivati, Lobamai Sudurmati, Take Jetakat Samsare. Krishna Bado Dayamoy, Korivare Jiva Jai, Swa Prasadan Nadilo Bhai. Senamrita Pao Sri Radha Krishna Gunagao, Premi Dako Sri Chaitanya Nidai. We say these prayers before taking prasadam. It's composed by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So he's saying, oh brothers, oh bhai, Sharira Vidya Jal, this body is a network of ignorance, avidya, jal, jadendriya tahekal, and the material consciousness will bring our death, tahekal. And jive fele vishesh ragore, the tongue is the most voracious of all. Sri Prabhupada has written this, that if you can control your tongue, you can control all your senses. Because tongue is the toughest to control. One time there was a fight between the tongue and the teeth. So the teeth said, I'm very powerful, so you keep quiet. Don't try to, raise your voice against me. I can crush you. So the tongue very humbly said, but if I say something in the wrong place, in the wrong time, then all the teeth will disappear. So the tongue is the most voracious. Jive fele vishay tar madhya jiva ati lobamai sturmati. Take jeta kathina, very difficult to control in this world, in this creation, sansare. But Krishna bado dayamay. Krishna is so kind. Kori vare jiva ja, it makes our tongue victorious by giving us prasad. They simply stand there and they just glance and take it. The entire thali or the entire plate comes back so that the devotees can control their tongues. So that we can chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Very nicely. So Risik, the nose is meant, the nostrils are meant to smell the flowers, Amrish Maharaj says, that are offered to Krishna, and the tulsi leaves that are offered to Krishna. The hands are meant, Mandir Marjanado, to clean the temple. The legs are meant, we are describing here the senses, how to engage it in Krishna's service, is to walk and go to the Krishna's temple. So like this, we can control our Risikena Risikesha Sevanam Tad Bhakti Ruchyate. And from the false ego of passion, intelligence arises. So from the mind, which is arises out of goodness, We're trying to see how the warehouse filled up with mind, the subtle elements now, intelligence. So all these are products of these ignorance, passion, and goodness. So in this particular verse, it is very clear that the false ego of passion, by the way, false ego is of three types: ignorance, passion, and goodness. But from the false ego of passion, intelligence arises, buddhi. Where is man in the body? In the heart. Very nice. Most people, they say here. Intelligence is here, man is in the heart. So, and what is the job of intelligence? Mind is not discriminating. Mind is like a monkey. Whatever you want, it wants to grab. You go to Vrindavan, you will see that. Give one banana, it will grab it. You give something else, it will grab it. It doesn't have, they don't have room in both their hands, they have everything. What they do is they take one and put it in their cheek. And they have a plump there, they store it there. So the mind is like a child. Everything it wants, acceptance and rejectance, the mind doesn't have that capability. But intelligence has that capability. Sri Prabhupada explains there are two things what the intelligence does. Ascertaining the nature of objects. Is this object good or bad? The intelligence will tell you that, okay, this is a source of fire. We should not put our hand in it, otherwise we will get burnt. But a child doesn't have that kind of developed intelligence. It's the mind working in the child. It will accept anything. It will even touch the fire or a flame or play with a matchstick and then get burnt. But intelligence is no, it's not a good idea to touch fire. So it's the ascertaining of the nature of the objects. And the intelligence's job is to help the senses. To help the senses. Where should I engage the senses? Where should I engage my hands? Where should I engage my tongue? Intelligence is used in Krishna. And Prabhupada said that intelligence is the discriminating power to understand an object, and it helps the sense make choices. And finally, Srila Prabhupada says, the perfection of intelligence in this purport, he says, is when we fix it in the activities of Krishna consciousness. Now, Srila Prabhupada has given us this wonderful movement, International Society of Krishna Consciousness, morning program. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that if you attend the morning program, I guarantee you will not even fall sick. Srila Prabhupada said that. But how many are really coming? It's unfortunate. Most temples on weekdays are empty. I go all over the world. Morning program helps us in controlling the senses amazingly, and the rest of the day, it's so permeated with so much transcendental energy. Right from Mangalarti to Guru Puja to morning class, and of course after Mangalarti or before Mangalarti, chanting the holy names. We should all encourage each other, especially those who are residents of the temple. This is an amazing opportunity. Unbelievable. To control the senses. The perfection of intelligence is to fix ourselves in the activities of Krishna. And the proper use of intelligence is one's consciousness is expanded. And what does Srila Prabhupada say? The ultimate expansion of consciousness is Krishna consciousness. And the best way is not only to attend the morning program, but always chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Cheto Darpanamarjanam. Bhavadava Mahadav Agni Vapanam. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Ananda Mudi Vardhanam. Pratipada Purna Amrut Swadanam. Sarvatma Snapannam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. This Sankirtan will give us the ultimate victory. What is that victory? From zero, we can become heroes at the lotus feet of Radha Krishna. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Are there any questions or comments? Please feel free. Vishwakaru Prabhu, can you get the microphone in case if somebody has a comment or question? Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu, 1 second. We are waiting so that listeners online can listen to your question.
Very amazing class, describing all the different material elements and how the space it takes and the relates with the false ego, which is the most troubling us. So we have to be humble to be in Krishna consciousness and then, like the third verse of Shishtashanam.
Yes.
We have to be in that line. So we have in the technology line, like nowadays artificial intelligence is making lot of disturbance in the technological industry, in revolution in that sense. And we are talking about intelligence in this verse. I mean, when Prabhupada has mentioned that real intelligence is to distinguish, to find the original source. In one of the book exercise, I heard.
Yes.
So how do you position this artificial intelligence? Is it just a work of the mind, or it really is intelligence?
No, it is not. In one line. It can never replace the mind that has been created by Krishna. We can try all we want, but no. Collecting information and storing it in a database and simply spitting it out, our brain is far more superior to what the AI is. Although it is in the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness. Can you imagine the intelligence of those personalities, those great personalities of our acharyas? It's transcendental. Can we even kind of, an iota of artificial intelligence can come close? Not possible. Artificial intelligence is nothing but a database that has been further refined so that they can put more puzzles together, if I may. That's not going to help in our Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is trying to get rid of the false ego, the mind, and the material intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence is 100% not, 1000% material intelligence. So here we are practicing Krishna consciousness and chanting the holy names to eradicate the intelligence and the mind and the false ego, which are the subtlemost and the most difficult to give up, by the process of following the Krishna consciousness process given by the acharyas. Artificial intelligence will not give us Nanam galadashrudharaya vadanam gadgadarudaya gira pulkir nichitam vapukada tava nama greneshu bhavashyati. Like Mahaprabhu says, or what we sing in the Mangalarti, Romanchakam Pashru Taranga Bhajo, Vande Guruho Sri Charnarvindam. Artificial intelligence is not going to make our hair stand on an end or profusely crying when we are chanting the holy names of Kirtan, or the shaking of the body. No. And that is why one of the biggest problems, I'm glad you brought this up. Slowly and surely, what is happening nowadays is that all our preaching activities have gone more or less, it's tending towards all these geared up towards seminars and all those presentations, corporate type, which honestly, that is my honest opinion, and I could be wrong, but I found that it doesn't increase my love for Krishna. It only impresses on an external level when you have all these slides and Microsoft, what do you call, PowerPoint presentations. Where it is required, it is required. But not every seminar. Now that has become more or less a norm. And it is based like, no. The traditional speaking, actually, a speaker should not even have notes. Like Prabhupada, did he have any notes? That's how much we should absorb our Krishna consciousness so that we can just simply speak out of realization. All this that is happening in the AI is all nothing but another super expansion of collecting data and refining data and presenting it. It helps sometimes, of course. For Krishna consciousness, if you want to search a verse, that is helpful. But use it on as and when needed basis, not on an always basis. That's my good question, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Anybody else? So, thank you all very much. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki, Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Shri Prabhupada, Gurudev, Antakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki.